You're listening to the Functional Marketing 101 podcast, episode number 8.
Welcome to the Functional Marketing 101 podcast, where it's all about you developing the mindset, belief, and online marketing and sales processes to get your coaching business to 6 figures and beyond. And now your host, functional marketing coach, award-winning author, and a total online marketing geek, Donna Joy Usher.
Hey, welcome to this 8th episode of Functional Marketing 101, a podcast for online coaches. Today I want to talk to you about what part of you is running your business. Now, that may seem funny at the moment, but let me tell you a story and you'll understand what I'm talking about. So the other day I was watching Tony Robbins and it was a video of him and he was working with this woman, and I was watching this video and I had this aha moment. You see, he was coaching a woman who was struggling to get to the next level in her business, and he asked her which part of her was running her business. Now, I probably wouldn't have had such a massive aha moment if I hadn't also been studying ego states in my hypnotherapy course. So he went through and he showed this woman all these different versions of herself, so all these different ego states of herself that existed in her mind. And then he brought them out and he asked them one by one the same question, and it was a question about her business. And as he brought out each ego state, you could see that she changed. She changed the way she was standing, she changed the way she was talking, and her answer to the question changed with each ego state. So he asked the lover, he asked the sibling, he asked the parent, the child, he asked the leader, the warrior, the same question about her business, and each one had a different answer. And you could see the strength in her when she adopted the posture of the leader warrior that had been missing when she was blending all of these ego states together and with all of them together running her business. Now, some of you might be starting to think things like multiple personality disorder or even schizophrenia, but actually this is really just about ego states. And while ego states that are formed, say, in childhood from trauma or through introjection are not healthy, those formed through differentiation are. And the difference with that is that with forming ego states through differentiation, it's really like a cataloging yourself so that you're able to maximize your performance in each part of your life. Like as the parent, you're being who you need to be. As your lover, you're being who you need to be. As the child, you're being who you need to be. And so you're maximizing into each of these areas. I think of it as like petals off a flower. Each petal is unique and beautiful and part of that flower, yet each petal is a little bit different to each other petal, okay? And they're all necessary for that flower to be the flower, but they're all there. So if you identify with being a mentally healthy person, you probably also assume that you have a constant balanced identity at all times, which is not entirely true. Because without knowing it, you will have some segmentation within your personality, like the flower does have the petals. So who you are as a lover is different to who you are as a friend. Who you are as a parent is different to who you are as a child. And who you are as a business owner is different to who you are, say, when you're doing charity work or something like that. And while we naturally recognize this when we discuss who we are as that of the lover or the parent or the friend, for some reason, when we become a business owner, we do not see the necessity for segmenting out our ego state, the leader or the warrior. Which means we try to be the wrong thing to the wrong people. And what normally happens is that we end up trying to be friends with everyone because we want to be liked, and we identify being liked with being successful, when in fact, being liked is a very poor measure of success. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that we can't be friends with people, especially not within our business, or that we can't be liked. But what I am saying is that when we put on our business hat, the choices that we make have to be about what is best for our clients, our customers, and the business as a whole. So I remember my first business, it was a dental practice, and I was in a state of overwhelm and discomfort. I just paid an enormous amount of money for this dental practice, and I'd never had a business before. For some reason, and I'm sure it's like this with a lot of professionals, we graduate as a professional and we think that means that we have graduated as a business owner of that profession. When in reality, we have no schmickin' idea how to run a business. So here I was with my first business and I was in overwhelm. So I employed a friend. I went to my comfort zone and I employed a friend. then because of that culture that I had set up, each time I added a staff member to my team, it became all about the warm, fuzzy stuff and not about what was best for me, my clients, or my business. And ultimately, I was unable to make hard decisions that would impact any of my staff because of the fallout that would cause. And I was unable to discipline them when they were taking advantage of how nice I was. So in the end, rather than having the strength to retake control of my business, I just solved it and moved on. It was just easier for me to sell it and just move on than for me to go through what I needed to go and the discomfort I need to go to get to the other side, where I became a strong leader in my own business. Now, I don't regret that decision because ultimately it led me to through another business where I also learned some stuff, but ultimately to online. And it led me to where I am now. But if I was to go back there again, I know that it would be a totally different business because I would be in control this time and I would not be being taken advantage of. I would have my leader, my warrior hat on, and I would be making the correct decisions for myself and my business and not just for my staff, not just for my employees, and not just for what they wanted. Now, was this their fault or mine that they took advantage of me and that I was overworked and underpaid in comparison to them at the end of it? Well, it was mine, of course, because I chose the wrong ego state to run my business from. I chose friend, not leader. And so it was as friend that I made all the decisions with the frameworks of that business. If I'd stepped into leader, I would have been able to make the hard choices to change the culture and regain the control of my business. So as you move forward in your business, it can be tempting to want to make everyone like you. So just remember this story. Remember that it's not about having everyone like you. And newsflash, if you haven't already worked this out yourself, and you probably have, but it's not going to happen no matter how hard you try. Not everyone's going to like you anyway, because it's not about you. It's about them and what's going on in their head. And it's not why we go into business in the first place. We go into business to help people, sure, but we are going into business to create a stream of income that will change our lives, and ultimately that it will allow us to change many more people's lives as a result. Now, if that's not why you've gone into business, is it really is just because you want to make people like you, then I would strongly suggest that perhaps you rethink having your own business, because maybe you should go and work for somebody else than have your own business if all you really want is people to like you. If you don't want to put the hat on, if you don't want to make the hard decisions, then business is not where you need to be, and there's no shame in that at all. Some people are suited to business and some people are suited to working for other people. That's just the way we are. We're all different. If you want to just have people like you, then go find a job where you can have that happening for you. But if you're ready to step into the place of leader and the place of the warrior, then you're in the right space. So while being successful and being liked are not mutually exclusive, being liked should not be the reason that drives our business decisions. So the next time you find yourself faced with a hard decision within your business, it's time to do 4 things. Number 1, dig deep and identify the warrior inside you. Go looking for the ego state who is the leader. Okay, there is one inside you, and as soon as you find it, you will know it. You will feel it. You will feel that strength that emanates from this ego state. Okay, so once you've found them, 2, let the warrior come forth. Okay, so give them a name. That's the 3rd thing. Give them a name. Now, if you need to, name all of your ego states. So, for instance, my ego state as a business owner and as my online presence is Donna Joy. To all my friends and family, I'm just Donna. So I have given myself a different name, and I did that unconsciously, but I realize now what it was. It was because I was creating this ego state. So once you've given yourself a name, given that leader, given that warrior the name, then consciously step into that ego state and adopt them. Okay. Now, you don't want to adopt them all the time. You don't want to be using the ego state of the leader and the warrior when you're with your lover or your partner. You don't want to be using that ego state of the leader and the warrior when you're, playing with your children. You want to be able to be flexible and move in and out of the correct ego state for the correct situation. But remembering that within business, the leader and the warrior is the correct ego state to take on. So once you can do that, once you can identify your leader and your warrior, you can let them come forth, you give them a name, and then you consciously step into them. Then and only then will you be able to make the right choices that are going to allow your business to grow and then scale and then finally to explode. So I hope that you've got something from this podcast and that you're going to take this information as you move forward in your business and that you're going to use it to great success. I will see you in the next episode of Functional Marketing 101. Hey, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to check out my Facebook group, The Fully Booked Coach. It's a place for coaches wanting to grow their business so they can change the world and create their own dream life in the process. You can find the link to join on my podcast resources page at donnajoyasha.com/resources. I'd love to have you join me, and I look forward to seeing you there soon.